This is a HeadGum podcast.
Today's episode of the Black Girl Nerds podcast is brought to you in part by... Brought to you by the Academy Award-nominated movie about three extraordinary women who never gave up and made history. Hidden Figures, starring Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, and Janelle Monáe. Own a piece of history. Hidden Figures, now available on digital HD, Blu-ray, and DVD. Welcome to our new podcast, Misty Nights Uninformed Afro. The new podcast series will dive into the origin stories, character development, and story arcs of our favorite Black superheroines and characters in comics. These are the obscure stories you don't always hear about, and we share commentary on some of our favorite moments in comics. We're going into deep discussions about Storm, Misty Knight, Monica Rambeau, Vixen, Amanda Waller, Riri Williams, Lunella Lafayette, and the Dora Milaje. The series has two hosts, founder and managing editor of BlackGirlNerds.com and host of the BGN podcast, yours truly, Jamie Broadnax. And Stephanie Williams, host of The Lemonade Show. Each episode will reference comic book issues, dates, and creators. That way you can go back and check out the stories for yourself. By the end of the series, you will become a certified expert in the fictional world of Black superheroines. Please subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. We'd love to hear what you think about the show. See you soon.
Shannon, CG, Lauren, and Mel form the Nerds of Prey. A group of ladies bonded by comics, gaming, film, television, and fandom culture. Hang out with them bi-weekly as they dig into the very things that make them loud and proud nerds. Available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and Google Play. Also, check out their Patreon at patreon.com/Nerds of Prey.
We've all been to cons with diversity panels. Now, with your help, we will be able to go to a diverse con with inclusive panels and so much more.
Universal Fan Con will be a con for the fans, by the fans, with a focus on diversity and inclusion.
We're reaching out to fans from all levels of fandom, from the shining Halo ring-a-ray to the twisted mind of Jigsaw.
From the hallowed halls of Hogwarts to the inseparable Ehrlich brothers.
This con will have something for everyone. We're calling on our fellow fans, disabled fans, LGBTQ fans,
Native American, Asian American, African American, Latino American, and all the other groups that coexist within this vast universe of fandom.
We ask you to go to www.universalfancon.com. Again, that's www.universalfancon.com. And support the con we've all been waiting for. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melody Cooper, director of The Sound of Darkness, and you're listening to Black Girl Nerds podcast.
My name is Ta-Nehisi Coates. I write for The Atlantic, and I am the writer on Black Panther right now, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hi, I'm Vincent Jerome, and you're listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
This is Theo Rossi, and you're listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hi, I'm Sujata Day. I'm playing Sarah on Insecure, and you're listening to Black Girl Nerds podcast.
I'm Dee Watkins, New York Times bestselling author of The Cook-Up and The B-Side. You are now listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
My name is Regé-Jean Page. I play Chicken George in Roots, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast. I'm Dr. Andrea Pennington, integrative physician, acupuncturist, meditation teacher, and sex educator. And guess what? I'm the author of The Orgasm Prescription for Women, 21 Days to Heighten Pleasure, Deeper Intimacy, and Orgasmic Bliss. Keep listening.
5, 6, 7-8. Holla boys and girls, it's the BGN. Coming from the Marvel world to the DC friends. All the way from Hollywood to the PCN. She defends everyone from sleazy men. Won't apologize for spitting Shonda rhymes. The space that we make is never colonized. We're talking games and movies and actors. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Yeah, better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Ha. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 111 of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. My name is Jamie, and I am your host. This episode is titled Raleigh Ritchie, Black Ink, and Ernie's Trio. 3 segments. In our first segment, we invite the one, the only, Raleigh Ritchie. You also know him as Jacob Anderson, or you may have heard of him. He plays the role of Grey Worm on HBO's Game of Thrones. He chats with us about his music career, and he geeked out with us a little bit. So we talked about the latest Thor trailer and about comic book movies in general. That segment is hosted by yours truly, Jacqueline, Kayla, and Kyndal. In our second segment, Jessica does a one-on-one interview with creators Craig Rippon and Faith Rippon. They're doing a new film called Black Ink, People of Color in Comics, and they've got a Kickstarter going. So they're going to give you all of the latest information about this film that they're trying to raise money for, and we've got less than a week to go. So definitely check out that segment. In our third segment, we bring back, this is his second time on the Black Girl Nerds podcast, the legendary Ernie Hudson. Ernie is a busy guy. He's got 3 projects that he's working on currently, which includes APB on Fox, Grace and Frankie on Netflix, and Graves on Epix. And he's going to talk about all of those. He does it in a one-on-one interview with Caron. So that's our show. Fully packed. Great guests. Great projects. Hope you enjoy it. And please continue to spread the word about the Black Girl Nerds podcast. And if you're ever interested in supporting us financially, you can go to patreon.com/blackgirlnerds. So thank you so much for tuning in to BGN 111. Raleigh Ritchie, Black Ink, and Ernie's Trio. Enjoy! Jacob Anderson is an English actor, singer, and songwriter. As an actor, he is best known for his role as Grey Worm in the television series Game of Thrones, as the leader of the Unsullied, and his reoccurring appearances in the first seasons of episodes in Broadchurch. As a musician, he uses the alias Raleigh Ritchie. His debut album, Your Man Now Boy, was released in 2016 to very positive reviews. Welcome to this segment of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. My name is Jamie. I am your host. This is going to be a fun one for you guys because, listen, we all watch this show. We live tweet it. It's under the hashtag Thrones, y'all. Game of Thrones. We have one of our favorite actors and characters from the show to talk to us here on Black Girl Nerds. And he's more than just an actor, guys. He's also a very well-known, incredibly talented musician. We have none other than Jacob Anderson, also known as Raleigh Ritchie, here on the Black Girl Nerds podcast. Thank you, Jacob, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on the show.
And we have our lovely co-hosts here, Kyndal, Jacqueline, and Kayla. Thank you, ladies. All right. Well, great. I'm going to go ahead and just jump in and get started with my first question for you. We of course, we know you as Grey Worm, leader of the Unsullied, yes. on HBO's Game of Thrones, and you first got the role in season 3. Did you realize how huge of a pop culture phenomenon this show was going to be, and how long did it take for you to speak Valerian?
It's a really weird thing in terms of how big the show is, because I feel like it feels like it kind of gets bigger every year. Like, or I just feel like there's more people that talk to me on the street every year. But when I first joined, I really liked the show because I watched it because Joe Dempsey, who plays Gendry, and Hannah Murray, who plays Gilly, are good friends of mine. So I watched it just because they were in it, basically. In fact, I watched the whole first season on a plane, but didn't really know what it was because, Joe told me a little bit about it, and he was kind of like, "Oh, it's like, you know, it's like a fantasy show." He was like, "It's a bit like Lord of the Rings." I was like, "Okay, I'm in. Why not?" Watched the whole thing on a plane. I watched 10 episodes. I watched the first 10 episodes on the plane, and then by the time I got home from wherever I was going, the second season had just started. And so I fell in love with the show very quickly. But yeah, I don't think I really knew how big it was. And I remember me and a friend of mine were having a conversation. We're like, "Nah, we'll never get to be in Game of Thrones. That's not like a thing." Because it suddenly seemed like loads of people that we knew were in the show. And then I got a call and it was like, "Oh, how would you feel about auditioning for this show?" But yeah, it wasn't. If it was big, it wasn't really on my radar at the time. It was just a show that I really liked. So yeah, it's kind of it's a weird thing. It's quite difficult to really see it, like in terms of how big it is or not, because to me it's like it feels like a really small thing because we all go, like we all get together at the end of the year and work together and everybody knows each other and it's like a little family. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it kind of it feels like a really personal experience. So you forget very easily
because you're in it. You're not on the outside like the rest of us. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And Valyrian kind of it varies how long it takes me to learn stuff. It's all kind of dependent as well on how much time they give you. Like the first year I had like a 3-month run up. And they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to learn this language," because I didn't know. Like when I auditioned, I basically just did it in my own voice, and it was all in English. I got the part, and they were like, "Oh, by the way, you don't speak English in this show." So I was like, "Okay." So they get like 2 months in advance. They gave me all of the stuff, and then it's just like repetition and stuff. And then I think last year it was like a week, 2 weeks before having to do like a chunk. They gave me the stuff to learn.
Wow.
So it varies.
Well, you know,
I never learn it as well. It's like you think it's not like learning a language. Mm-hmm. Like I couldn't make up a sentence for you now. It's kind of I kind of just like learn the lines that I have to say, and then I forget them as soon as I finish them because my brain is traumatized by all of it.
I hear that a lot from actors when they're memorizing lines. They're in the thick of it and they just remember just those specific lines for their project. And then once it's done, they're just like, okay, it's whatever.
Yeah.
So that seems to be a thing.
It's like, it's traumatic in like a small way. Like there's so many bloopers of me and Natalie and Amelia just like losing it, just going absolutely doolally, trying to say these made up words in big chunks.
I would love to see
and
that
I think
gag
they just
reel.
Stitch. But they just like that. I would say, actually, no. Do you know what? I'll say this for myself, not for them, because they're much better at learning stuff than I am. But like, I think they just stitch my performance together out of what is not me laughing.
Well, that's awesome. You know, in addition to your work on Game of Thrones, you're a musician. As Raleigh Ritchie, you have this very beautiful and velvety melodic sound. Like, I really love your vocals.
Thank you.
And your lyrics are really deep, and it's about very personal issues in your life, too, as well as your relationship. So I understand you've been making music for a long time. Can you tell us the first moment when you decided music was something you wanted to do professionally?
Yeah, it's weird. I'm not sure that I ever had like a one defining moment, but for me, like I used to make music in my lunch hour. Like I didn't do lunch. I didn't play sports or anything. So I just kind of like would go into, they had like a music building in my school and I'd just go there and sit at a piano or sit on like Cubase or whatever and write. And I always used to write for like songs for other people to sing because I wasn't really like interested in being a singer or like being in front of it all. I just like writing because it helped me out. And so basically it was my way of like talking and my way of like articulating things because I'm not, as you'll find out in this interview, I'm not the best at like making sort of succinct points well. So like writing a song is my way to articulate how I feel about something. And I think as soon as I discovered that, I was like, yeah, this is like a thing that I need to do because it's better than me just sort of like stewing in my feelings and going mad. So I think it's just a general feeling of like necessity to writing a song and what it does for my soul, my head.
All right. Well, this is Jacqueline.
That's some deep stuff.
I was like, okay.
Well, I feel like you are being very succinct, and I really didn't know how to segue from that because you kind of just threw yourself under the bus a little bit. I'm like, I feel like you're just great. I'm melting.
I'm British. I'm British. We're like British people. We're like we're very hard on ourselves. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes, I was just about to say, as a BBC fangirl, I've actually known that for a while. Y'all are very self-deprecating.
Very self-deprecating.
Yeah, but as a BBC fangirl, I loved you first in Broadchurch before Game of Thrones, and I was like, this kid I recognize from that. So I was really happy to see you on the show. And now that you're on the show, it's this huge global cultural thing that everybody is a fan of. And I'm sure, even though you're probably as awkward as I am about that kind of stuff, you're like awkward about fan interactions. But what is the weirdest, funniest thing that someone has done on the street when they met you, like fangirl out or ask you to speak Valyrian to them? I mean, I don't know what's happened.
Well, because I'm quite an introverted person. Like I wouldn't say that I caught attention when I'm like walking around or anything. So I always think it's weird if anybody comes and talks to me. I'm like, why? Why would you want that? Why would you want to do that to yourself? But the weirdest one is still like it happened. I guess after season 4, I was on the subway in New York, and I had my head down, and I just heard, "Wait, am I allowed to curse on this?"
Yes. I love the fact that people always ask us permission. I love that.
I don't know. It might be all ages. I'm not like...
And I'm over... Yeah, it's nice, but I'm over here like you do whatever you want to, sweetie.
Right. So I was on the subway, and someone just went, "Fuck yeah, Grey Worm." I was like, whoa, what? And I looked up, and there was this dude was just like, had his newspaper up, and he was like, oh no. He was like, like a respectable, I don't know what that means actually. I don't know how you define it, respectable, but looked like a kind of respectable dude, like middle-aged dude. And yeah, and that was it. He just went back to his paper. And I was like, are we not gonna, not only are me and him not gonna address this, but there's nobody else on the subway gonna address that just happened. This is weird. That was a weird interaction. That was a strange thing to do.
I love that, because that would have, I don't know if I would have been that much, but I would have just maybe pointed and giggled and been like, oh, there he is, and then walked away.
It's one of those things that I'm starting to think, like, did it really happen? Did it really happen? Because it's not a normal thing to do. Like, I mean, I guess the subway in New York's kind of like the underground in London. Like, a lot of weird shit happens. But like, nobody's ever like corroborated that story before, and I'm starting to not believe it myself. But it was that was pretty weird.
I believe it happened because people are that weird. People have those moments, but more on like something you're probably more familiar with is people freaking out in concerts when you're performing and such. Your music, like, and every time you talk about it, the thing I always notice is like every interview is like, we don't know how to like classify your style or type of music, and they come up with weird ways to categorize it. Well, I'm not going to go there, but you obviously have a lot of eclectic influences and tastes. So give me your dream lineup, like, you know, start, middle, end. Give me 3 acts that you would love to see, living, dead, whenever.
Are they okay? Living or dead?
Yeah, living or dead.
Okay, so I would probably start with. Let me see. Oh, it's hard. This is a hard question.
But it's fun.
It is fun. It is fun. I would go for, let's say, Death Grips to open.
Okay.
Just to get everybody warmed up. And then Beyonce. She's amazing.
All right.
It's like, and I'm kind of like, I'd put Beyonce as the headliner, but she's still sort of in the middle of the 3 acts. And then following Beyonce, I'd have Donny Hathaway just thrashing out on his piano. Just like, I don't know if any of you guys have heard the Donny Hathaway live album, but in my opinion, it's the greatest live album of all time. And I feel like that he'd make a good post Beyonce, because Beyonce is like your big, like flashy blockbuster headliner, and then you got something like the best palate cleanser you could ever have in your life.
I love you for that one. And I'm still sad that people think that Michael Bublé did that song and they don't realize that was Donny Hathaway's song.
Whoa.
Like, I get so mad about that.
Whoa. Hang on. What Michael Bublé song?
Yeah, so Michael Bublé did Donny Hathaway. Yeah, he covered, I've seen him, I can't remember the name of it, you know, A Million Places. Yeah, he covered it, and people think it's his song. They don't realize it's a cover.
What, Song for You?
Yeah, Song for You. There you go.
I'm
Sorry, I
having
couldn't
that.
remember the name of it. Yes!
I'm going to get on Twitter and I'm going to be like...
Seriously? Because
I'm about to start some shit.
I mean... You know this. People don't have their musical history. People don't realize that Bruno Mars owes like Morris Day and the Time royalty checks as far as I'm concerned, but you know, whatever.
Yeah. To be fair though, ironically enough, there's a song on that live album called Jealous Guy, which I thought was a Donny Hathaway song, but it's a John Lennon song.
Yeah.
It's on that album, but Donny Hathaway does it better than John Lennon. And that's probably a controversial opinion, but he does.
So this is Kayla, and
Hello.
Hi. I am a huge fan, and your album dropped last year and came out to some very, very positive reviews, and I loved it. Are you going forward? Are you going to be more focused on your music, or are you going to split your time between try and find a balance between acting and music? And can we get a Childish Gambino mixtape with you guys? Because I think it would be like the best thing that ever happened in the world.
Well, to answer your first question, no. I'm like, I don't believe in choosing one thing. Like, acting and writing music serve very, very different purposes to me. It's like, they're kind of like the antithesis of each other. Like, writing a song is to get all of my feelings out, and I'm really like inside my head. And then when I do acting, it's like getting outside of my head and being somebody else and being the complete opposite to me. So I kind of they balance each other out pretty well. And I want to make stuff as well. I want to make films, and there's so much other stuff that I want to do. Like, I get bored just doing one thing for my whole life.
That's like a perfect answer. That's perfect.
I don't believe that anybody should ever tell anybody else what to do.
Yeah.
Generally. And I think like it's important for like no matter what job you have, no matter what you're into, like if there are other things you want to explore, then explore them, because we're not on Earth for that long. I think it's important to at least try these things. Scare yourself. Do stuff that scares you. And all of this stuff scares me, so that's why I do it. To answer your second question, I doubt very much there will ever be a Donald Glover Raleigh Ritchie mixtape, Childish Gambino Raleigh Ritchie mixtape, because I'm trying my hardest to not ever meet him.
What? Why?
I'm not even joking. I was like, my agent and my music manager and my American agent all at various times have said, "Oh, we're going to try and set up a meeting between you and Donny Hathaway, you and Donald Glover." And like we think it'd be really great for you guys to meet and chat and stuff. And I've said I can't do it. I can't. He's too important to me. And
that just made my heart so sore. Like
no, but I know I've got friends that have met him or know him like well, and they have all said like amazing things about him, and he's meant to be like a lovely dude, and he's super talented. But I feel like I feel like this is an appropriate example, actually. I don't know if any of you guys are Community fans, but
yes.
So you know when Troy meets LeVar Burton.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that scene.
I'm afraid that would happen. Like, I know that me and Donald Glover are into the same stuff. Like, you know, that's why I like him so much. But I feel like I would just freeze up and I just wouldn't know what to say to him. I'd just be like, "You're fucking amazing." That's never any way to start a conversation. I'd tell you that much.
I think it's safe to say Kayla and I acted the same way after we interviewed LeVar Burton on the podcast.
I bet. LeVar Burton is a legend, and I'm British. I shouldn't even know who he is. We didn't have Reading Rainbow, and I know that LeVar Burton is amazing. Then we did have Star Trek, so.
Well, I hope you meet him.
It needs to happen because from what I've heard from people, he's just super down to earth. But I think I would probably have the same reaction because I've been watching his comedy sketches on YouTube since, early 2000s. So
Mystery Team, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing, though, is I'm not like, this isn't a thing for me where I'm like, oh yeah, I really loved Atlanta, and I really like from like back in the day, I've been a fan of Donald Glover, like him and the Derek comedy sketches and all that. Like,
yes, yay.
So it just, I'm not mature enough. Like maybe one day I would like to meet him.
You're not ready.
Not mature enough right now because I'd just be like, it would be embarrassing for him. He'd be like, someone get rid of this guy.
So you're kind of showing a little bit of your nerdy side. So this kind of goes into my next question. We are built on all things nerdy. Well, we like to call it blurty, black and nerdy. So growing up, did you consider yourself a nerd? And if so, do you still geek out on a lot of things now?
Well, I mean, when I was growing up, I make myself sound really old when I say this, actually. But when I was growing up, like, it wasn't okay to be like a nerd or a geek. Like it wasn't accepted. I was, but I would never have been like, I never would have thought of myself as a nerd. I would just been like, yeah, I just like all of this stuff, and it's normal for me to like all this stuff. And like the reason that I can't connect to people is because I'm more connected to like TV and comic books. But but the most amazing thing about, I think, like, the internet really is what made it happen. Is like the older I've got, like as I've just as I've gone on, it's become more and more acceptable. And I don't know exactly what my point was, but yeah, I was an uber nerd. I am an uber nerd. It's a really weird thing for me because I'm in a show that people are really nerdy about, but I'm super nerdy about lots of other things. And I love Game of Thrones, but I'm not a nerd about it because I'm close to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird to, yeah.
So are there, what do you geek out on? What would you say other than music that we can see?
Films. I try and watch everything that's out, even if I don't think it's going to be that great. I mean, like, there's probably exceptions. There's definitely exceptions. I haven't seen Beauty and the Beast yet. I don't know why. I'm just not that interested in it. But I've watched do you know what I mean? Like, I try and watch whatever's out in the cinema by the week.
Either.
But
I feel like you don't touch perfection. I don't feel like you touch Disney perfection, so that's how I feel about their live action right now. So I'm kind of right there with you.
Mm-hmm. But do you know what I will say for that film is I kind of like the whole thing, like, what's her name? Emma Watson's position on, like, maybe we could, obviously I haven't seen the film, but like loosen the Stockholm Syndrome thing a little bit so that Belle's not just like, she's not mental. It's like, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I like that she's like, there's a feminist angle to bring to this, and I think to most, if we're being honest, to most Disney classics, they don't really hold up in that regard. So I like the idea of that. I just haven't been to see it yet. So yeah, I'm very nerdy about films. It's kind of hard to talk about what you like. I don't know if you found this, but I'm like, if you asked me stuff, if you're like, what about that? I would probably like fire off for about 15 minutes about something that you just haven't. Like, if you were like, oh, what do you think of Steven Universe? I could give you like an essay on Steven Universe and why I love it.
Oh my God. We're Steven Universe fans.
I need nothing else. That just made my day. Like, my whole month was really thank you.
Do you know what's really good as well that I've just started watching that I haven't, it just went by me, is Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Yes.
That show is great.
She's amazing. It's really good, and it's not getting the hype that it deserves, and I'm very adamant about that.
I think Disney are they're starting to, they want a bit of that Adventure Time, Cartoon Network kind of action.
They'll get there.
Like, we need to get rid of our squeaky clean image. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm nerdy about a lot of things. I still buy comic books. I still, like, I haven't really changed since I was a kid. I watch a lot of TV. I spend a lot of time watching, like, those video essays on YouTube, you know, like Nerd Writer and those kind of things. I love Game Grumps. Like, I love I like gaming channels. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm very good at, like, talking about these things. Like, I don't know off the head what I could tell off the top of my head that I could tell you I'm nerdy about, because to me they're not nerdy things. They're just like things that I really love.
Well, hi Jacob. This is Kyndal.
Hello.
Hi.
That was it. By the way, I'm sorry for that answer. It was such a bad answer.
No, it's okay. Hey, it's your truth. You got to speak your truth, right?
No, but actually, no. Sorry, I do want to say, I think I just used nerdy as like a derogatory term by saying I don't consider things nerdy that I like. But I'm proud. I'm proud of my nerd card.
Proud nerd.
Yeah.
So I first heard your song Bloodsport on an episode of Teen Wolf, and I'm not ashamed to say that I love that show. And then I heard it again on an episode of Power, and I was like, okay, I've got to look up this song. And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh my God, it's Grey Worm. I was so shocked. But since music is such a passion of yours, and you're working hard to fulfill that purpose in your life, how did you get into acting in the first place? Like, is acting something that you actually went after, or did the opportunity just present itself?
Not really. It was kind of an accident. Like, I wasn't like a naughty kid at school, but I used to sleep a lot in my lessons, and so I wasn't really on track to do particularly well at the end of school. But my drama teacher was also like the head of year in like she was my head of year, and she said there's a TV company that are like auditioning kids from schools, like it's like an open audition kind of thing. And she's like, I think you should try it. Like, why don't you go and audition for this show? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, it's not. Is that a job? Like being in, like acting and things. I definitely like by that point I was more into the idea of like writing movies or like writing comic books. Like it wasn't, you know, the idea of acting in something. I was like, I'm shy. Like I don't want to have to look back at my face. But I enjoyed drama lessons. I thought they were fun. I did pretty well at them. I couldn't sleep in drama because we didn't have desks. So yeah, I auditioned for this show, and I didn't get the part, but I got quite far, I guess. I kind of got to like the end of the process or whatever, and the casting director was doing that show said like, is this something you'd be interested in, like as a career? And I was like, oh, I don't know really. Like I'm interested in writing and stuff. And she was like, well, look, if you became an actor, then you could see writers, you know, you could see like how a director works. You see what it's like to make these things. And you also get paid to like pretend to be somebody else. It's great. It's like, why not? So I kind of just went with it, and I was like, I got a couple of jobs and I really enjoyed it. And I fell in love with the escapism, just pretending to be someone else. I used to like run around the playground playing Lion King by myself. Play like all the parts. I'd be like Simba and Nala and Scar and Mufasa, and I'd be like...
Would you sing the songs
run
too?
Around. I was that kid, yeah. I used to imagine, I would sing the songs. I would like imagine, like I would come up with whole characters, like spy characters and stuff, and just make up pretty much just whole films that I was in, and I'd run around the playground just pretending that I was doing it. So I kind of, whatever that was, came back a little bit. And this was when I was like 15, 16. So I'd lost a bit of that, and it all came back, and I was like, yeah, great.
Tap into that imagination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a very big imagination, sometimes to a fault.
So do I completely get it. So like a lot of people like to put artists like in a box, you know, so if they see you doing one thing, if they see you acting, they just think of you as an actor, then they see you doing something else, and it's just kind of weird. I don't understand why people do that, but you spoke a little bit about it earlier. What advice can you give to artists who are hesitant to pursue multiple artistic outlets, just out of fear that people will view them as like being an imposter or something? It's silly, but you know,
yeah.
Some people,
no, we all get that. I think anybody that makes a thing, I mean, I'm sure you guys get this as well, like imposter syndrome, when you kind of feel like, oh, I'm a fraud and I don't deserve to be here, and like other people have made this possible, so therefore like I have nothing to do with it, I don't deserve it. Yeah, I think like when you accept that other people feel those things, that lightens the load a little bit, I think. But also, I feel like if you want to make stuff for a living, you kind of have to accept that, like, you can only really do well at it if you truly love it. Because like, I always say to people, when people say like, oh, you know, like, how do I become like a singer, like how do I become a big singer? I'm like, well, for one, I'm not like a big singer, so I don't know why you're asking me. But secondly, like, you can't do it for money. Like, you have to do it for love, because you're not going to get any money. You're not going to get paid for making music. If you just accept that from the beginning, you're going to be fine. If you accept that, like, okay, I really like making up, I don't know, I really like making cakes, for instance. And if you like singing and making cakes, but you just go like, do you know what? I just really like eating these cakes. And my friends really like eating these cakes. So I'm just going to do it for that reason. And then if other stuff comes out of it, and I'm not saying don't be ambitious, but I would say the key to all of any creative endeavor is to do it for yourself and do it because you love it. Because that's kind of the only guarantee. But I would also, if I'm being really honest, like it's tough. Like it's tough to do more than one thing and kind of be like, you know, like I'm not earnest about anything really, like in the traditional sense. Because to me, it's like, I love my job. Like, I don't want to take myself seriously. That's it. I don't take myself that seriously. But like, people will be like, what do you want to do most, this or that? Or like, if you do this thing, it's going to undermine the other thing. And people do try and put you in a box, and you just kind of have to, like, I've definitely learned over the last few years, like, you just got to remember why you did it in the first place. Like, you just have to shut those voices out.
Yeah.
Because people will, it makes people uncomfortable. I think people think of you as greedy or as, I feel like maybe it's slightly different in the States, actually. I've found when I've gone over to the States, like, people are excited that I'm interested in more than one thing. But I think sometimes in this country, sometimes, not all the time, but I think definitely in the press and stuff in this country, we love an underdog, but we don't like somebody we don't really like ambition in the media, like in the press. I don't think the people are like that here. I love my people.
And we love you.
I didn't really answer that question.
Yeah, we love
properly,
your people too.
Just do it. That's like the thing that's the best advice that I could give, is just do it. Don't worry about what anybody else says. Don't ever prevent yourself from doing something that could potentially make you happy. That's the realest thing I can tell you.
It's real. No, that's good advice. I will say that imposter syndrome, one, and then also the people thinking you're overly ambitious. I've seen both of those, and yeah, that's good advice. Mm-hmm. I'm going to apply it because I feel it sometimes in a much smaller scale. Anyway, so it's Jacqueline again. Game of Thrones, to bring it back to our all mutual love, is kind of filmed worldwide, literally everywhere. It seems like they have locations and sets where they're filming year round, and they have these huge production values. I mean, last year it feels like y'all filmed like 9 movies practically with the way they did those sets and stuff. And you've been a part. Yeah, exactly. And you've been a part of a lot of them. Which one was your favorite to shoot, or maybe which one was the hardest because of the location or the demands of the scene?
The hardest to shoot. I've always had it pretty easy because we're in hot places most of the time. Mm-hmm. So like whenever we're outdoors, we're in Spain or Morocco, and then all the indoor stuff pretty much is shot in Belfast. But I'd say Morocco was quite difficult because it was really hot. Mm-hmm. And when like wearing leather, I think my first year wearing that big like leather tunic, they hadn't quite like every year my costumes kind of got more comfortable as it goes along. But the first year it was just like I had waterfalls going down the front of my body. It was sweat. It was because also there's like bits where it sort of like pushes into your stomach. So all of the water would like collect where it pushed, and then if I breathed in or moved slightly or sat down, it would all just sort of like gush down my front, and it would look like I'd wet myself because the front of my trousers would just be like covered in. Yeah. So thank God for that nappy that I had for like 3 years.
So this is my last question for you. You know, this week was a big comic book movie announcement, which I noticed on Twitter you got really excited about.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, right. Yes.
Yes. Okay. See, look how excited Jacob is getting right now.
This is what I mean. This is what I can't, like, when you said, what are you nerdy about? I couldn't think of a single thing. But now you're talking about what we're about to talk about. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Okay, I've stirred the car in the right lane. Okay, great. So, Thor Ragnarok, the trailer dropped, and yeah, you tweeted to me and you were excited about it. So, that movie, it sounds like you definitely want to see. But what are some comic book movies that you're really excited to see this year? And also, if there was a superhero that you would like to play, who would it be and why?
Well, the superhero that I would like to play is I'm too old for. I would be annoyed if I shouldn't say this. I'm like talking myself out of a job. But also, they don't need another British Spider-Man. But Miles Morales would be pretty amazing.
God. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Or Peter Parker. I mean, like, when I was growing up, obviously, in my head, I was Peter Parker. This is another thing that we could talk about. But there's not time for that. But yeah, so Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is my favorite.
We're finally getting Shocker, so it's an exciting time to be a Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, I know. Is it Bucky and Woodbine's playing Shocker?
Yes, and I can't. They gave us like the smallest of glimpse in the trailer, but I'm still happy.
I really hope that he's like doing something in it. I really hope he's got something to do. He's such a good actor. I really hope that he's got, like, they give him some space to be an awesome villain. And they don't, like, Jamie Foxx him.
Oh God, yeah. Let's not see that happen again.
So, yeah.
What were you excited about Thor Ragnarok? Because I mean, you were geeking out over that. Everything, yeah.
Everything. Like, I think, like, the MCU incarnation of Thor, like Chris Hemsworth as Thor, is amazing. Yeah. I think, like, it's kind of like the comedy. He's like the comedy center of the MCU, I think. Like, and I'm talking about, like, from the top. I'm trying to think of who else there is that is like a good example of that. And I don't mean like smarmy, not like Tony Stark. Like, anyway, yeah. So the first Thor, I think, is amazing. And I think, like, I feel like people throw a lot of shade at the first Thor movie. Second one, we don't have to talk about. We'll coast over it. But this one, not only are we getting, like, a little bit of Planet Hulk stuff. Right. I know it's not exactly Planet Hulk, but it's like, it seems like that version. Not only have we got Jeff Goldblum,
yes, oh my God, yes,
of all time, looking crazy and amazing. Tessa Thompson is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Kate Blanchett. Valkyrie. I mean, like, just the cast is amazing, for one. Yeah. The trailer is just there's so many beautiful moments in that trailer. Especially, he's a friend from work. I love that. But also, Taika Waititi, who's directing it, is one of my favorite filmmakers of the last, like, 5 or 10 years. I love him. I've seen everything he's made, and I've been, like, a fan of his since Flight of the Conchords. So I'm, like, not only just really happy that he's doing blockbuster stuff, but that he's on the right side. He's on the right side of blockbuster, and it just looks like it has his, like, style of comedy, which is definitely my taste. It just looks amazing. What can you say? I feel like you don't need to say. I'm saying all this stuff, but just watch the trailer. Don't listen to me, like, chatting shit about it. Just watch. There's enough. There's enough in there. Yeah.
What's your most anticipated comic book movie this year?
My most.
Yeah.
That's hard.
I know there's so many.
That's really hard. I would, if it wasn't for BVS. I dare not speak his name. If it wasn't for that, I would have been really excited about Justice League. Yeah. But I don't know how excited I am.
Faith. Yeah, I'm with you on that because you have no. I am
excited about Wonder Woman though.
Yes. Yeah.
I have hope for it.
That's the only DC movie I have hope for is Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else is there? Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther.
Yes.
Black Panther is going to be special, but that's not this year, is it? That's next year.
Next year, yeah.
Oh, that's hard. Maybe I think I might have already seen it. I think the Lego Batman movie was my favorite superhero movie of the year.
Thank you. It was so perfect.
It's already happened.
To end. It was so great. Thank you for saying that.
Obviously, I saw it so many times. I'm not even joking. There was one day that I was in a really bad mood. I was finding it hard to get up. I was just in a bad place. And instead of going like, I'll go get coffee, I'll go like, I don't know, go and do something that will cheer me up. I was like, right, I'm just going to go see the Lego Batman movie, wherever it is in London, the next showing, I'm going now. And it just changed my day completely. And it was amazing. Yeah. So I feel like Lego Batman movie already happened. And that will... I have hope for Spider-Man, but I just don't know anymore. I'll be honest with you. I'm finding like I feel like last year was a little bit underwhelming for my superheroes, and I'm finding it hard to trust. I find it really hard to trust DC. I do trust Marvel, but I'm still like, I don't know. I'm yeah.
Yeah, we'll see about Spider-Man. I have high hopes for Homecoming just because Tom Holland is like the first real Peter Parker to me.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, like he's closer to age than the comic book Peter Parker, and then compared to, you know, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. So, and he was so good in Civil War. I think Homecoming is going to be a bit of a game changer for the Spider-Man franchise. I hope so.
I think I agree. I think it is going to be great. I can't have my heart broken again.
Yes.
Spider-Man means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to hate anything with Michael Keaton in it, though. So I think that they knew that, so they drew us in with that. So I think that's probably why we're all going into it with some hope.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's hard to hate Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And the director's really good. I liked. Yeah. I watched both of his films actually. Which Clown was amazing. It was horrible, but it was great. I feel like it's much better to have low expectations of everything and then be pleasantly surprised.
That's how I am going into every DC movie. So
that's how I was with Suicide Squad, and I ended up liking it. So I mean,
that's how I am.
I didn't hate Suicide Squad. I'm gonna be
same.
Same.
I didn't hate it.
Good for y'all. Sorry.
There was a lot about it that I liked.
Suicide Squad broke my heart because that was the last time I gave DC my heart. And what I was going to say is DC is like that boyfriend that cheats on you. And I went back to him with Suicide Squad, but I'm done now. I cannot. That is not happening again. So no. And Suicide Squad was cheating with like STD. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. Sorry. I'm glad y'all liked it though.
I didn't say I liked it. I said I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
But
there's a difference.
It's those low expectations. That's what it was for me. Like I just went in super low and I was like, well, it's not as bad as what everybody's saying. But
it was an X-Men apocalypse. So I mean, see? Yeah. We got that my expectations couldn't be any lower after seeing Apocalypse.
Yeah, that's true.
I was good.
I'm totally not going to ever get hired by any of the... I forget. Genuinely, I forget sometimes.
Hey, we shade on these...
I'm on Twitter and I'm like about to start saying something about a film I've seen. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like either like a friend has been a part of it and I'm like, oh, that I know they work really hard on that. Or I'm just like, I'm never gonna get a job with that studio. Like Warner Brothers aren't gonna hire me now. But I did love Lego Batman.
You know what? Listen, we shade on all these studios all the time, and they still invite us to the junkets. They still invite us to the screenings, so it's all good. All press is good press.
But don't get it mixed up, because they need you guys. They need reviewers and like fans. They don't need another actor.
Oh, yes, they do.
There's plenty.
You're on the hottest show on television right now. You're good.
You're in high demand, at least as far as we're concerned.
And you geek out on Steven Universe. I'm pretty sure Rebecca Sugar would put you in pretty much anything that she does going forward.
She is an amazing human being. She's just awesome. I'm like, yeah, I think she's amazing. I think Steven Universe is like I can't wait to show that to my kids. Just on multiple levels. It's got, like, I've cried watching. That show's made me cry, and I don't even feel any shame about saying that.
Aww.
You're not the first person to say that.
Oh, and like happy. That's awesome.
I'm gushing. I can't.
Yeah.
Well, Jacob, thank you so much. This was such a fun interview. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you tell our listeners where they can find you on the interwebs, your concert dates, and give us your social media handles?
Oh yeah, I'm just Raleigh Ritchie on everything. RALEIGHRITCHIE on Twitter and Instagram, and the other ones. I think it's even RaleighRitchie.com. It's really easy. I'm just the same on everything.
Nice.
I don't know when this airs, but I'm doing a tour actually in the States in May. I don't actually have them on me. Hang on. No, wait. I'm on my phone. I can look on the internet. Well, actually, no. New York, LA, and San Francisco sold out. But if anybody's in Toronto or Chicago, I've got shows on May the 3rd, I'm in Toronto, and then May the 4th, I'm in Chicago. And even if you listen to my music and it sounds a bit sad sometimes and morose, like with our live show, I like to jump around a lot and make it fun. So don't come expecting like a sad R&B dude sitting there, just, I don't know, sitting on a stool and then stepping off the stool. You're not going to get that. We'll have a party.
My word.
Can I just make sure that anybody listening to this knows that it's like evening here, like we're well into midnight. So so I sound like I've had too much caffeine and not enough sleep, which is true. But I'm about
You made the interview a lot more fun.
Probably the worst plug anybody has ever done in their life for anything. Do you know what? I don't deserve it. Don't come and see me. Don't pay for my music. Steal it.
Stop it.
I don't deserve it. I don't deserve your love.
No. Go on iTunes, buy his music, download, do the whole thing. And look, you're selling out shows. You've sold half of them out in America. So look, you're doing something right. But yeah, thanks. This is a fantastic interview, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. And can I just say that Iron Man 3 is the best Iron Man film?
You know what? I have changed my mind. I used to think the first film was the best one, but you know what? I'm going to agree with you. I saw another sitting of Iron Man 3, and it's actually a really good film. And I really like the character development of Tony Stark in that one. I think that's why it makes it a better film.
Shane Black. I mean, I thought that was going to be my mic drop moment, and you were all going to disagree with me, and that was going to be like a really good.
I got quiet, but I mean,
you know what? I've changed my position on the issue. So
I hate what they did to the Mandarin.
The Mandarin is the one that does everybody in. Yeah.
Yeah,
I loved what they did with the Mandarin, but I think that it could have been an Asian actor playing.
Yeah.
What's his name? Terry. What's her name would have been better? Rebecca. That's really bad. Hall. But then again, that's me reading things of them going, well, she was going to be the villain, and going, oh, that would have been better. But actually, I really like the film. I just said it's the best Iron Man film. I need to go to bed. I'm sorry. I should have just let this end. It's been really nice speaking to you guys, though. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you very much, guys.
Based on the incredible untold story of Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson. Brilliant African-American women working at NASA who served as the brains behind the launch into orbit of astronaut John Glenn. A stunning achievement that turned around the space race. The visionary trio crossed all gender and racial lines and inspired generations. Own a piece of history. Hidden Figures, now available on digital HD, Blu-ray, and DVD. Craig Rippon is the creative director and CEO of the independent family-owned film company Headlight Filmworks. Craig came up with the idea for the company's first film project, a documentary entitled Black Ink, People of Color in Comics. Faith Rippon is a founding partner of Headlight Filmworks and the executive producer of Black Ink, People of Color in Comics. She is the eldest sibling of Craig's 3 children, all of whom are involved in the company and plays an integral part in the overall formation of Headlight Filmworks.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. This is Jessica, and I'll be conducting this interview here today. And I have great guests on with me today. I actually have 2 of the founders, 2 of the 4 founders, correct?
That's correct.
Correct, yes. I have Craig and Faith, and they are here, and I'm going to let them kind of tell you a bit about their Kickstarter campaign. So Craig and Faith, if you will, please introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about your Kickstarter campaign and why it's so important.
Okay, my name is Craig Rippon, and I'm a part of a family business that's called Headlight Filmworks. We're putting out our first film called Black Ink, Examining the Contributions to the comic book industry by people of color. It's our first project, but hopefully not our last. And we've got a Kickstarter campaign that we're running. We're trying to get $15,466. Right now we're at $9,675, and we've got 13 days to go. So we're trying to get everybody and anybody who's interested to donate, pledge, to get us to our goal, because like I said, we've got 13 days to go, and with Kickstarter, it's either all or nothing. So that's who we are, and I'm on the phone with my daughter, Faith Rippon, and we're part of the family business. There are three of us other than ourselves, and we're trying to get this thing flying. So anything you can do to help us out would be fantastic.
All right. Hi, guys. I am Faith, the other partner, one of the other founding partners. I am also executive producer on the film, and the actual title of the film is Black Ink, People of Color in Comics. I wanted to make sure that we got that right, so that way if you were to go to Kickstarter, you'd be able to find this project under the correct title. So this project is extremely important to me because, for many reasons, and one of the reasons, the major reasons that it's important to me is because it gives us an opportunity to really highlight and put the spotlight on Black creators who are creating content for readers of all different ethnicities, but we're highlighting Black representation in comics, in the comic industry. And I think that's very important for a number of reasons. Me, especially being a mother of 2 young daughters who are very impressionable, it's important for me to know that they're seeing characters that look like themselves. in many different industries. But kids, we know, and people alike, no matter what age, race, creed you are, you look at television, you look at things, and what you see, that has a very deep impact on you, a very heavy impact. It says something, it speaks to you. And if you're looking at characters on the screen, especially heroes, you want to be like them, right? And so you develop, you hope to acquire or, have some of that, whatever it is that they have that you cheer them on for. You want to have some of that inside of you. So that's why the project is important to me, and I hope that it's just as important to many others out there. So important that they decide that they want to donate or back us, as I like to say.
Awesome. So you hit on a couple of different key pointers there. And I think, I was actually listening to some of the past BGN episodes, episode 106 in particular. So you guys can go check that out if you guys are listening. Okay. But Enrique LaSalle was there on the podcast, and he had said something that really that really spoke to me as a content creator. And he said being an author and a content creator gives you power and possibility. And I really started to think about, wow, it really does. It really gives you an ultimate power, and the possibilities are endless with content creation, right? So why is it so important for you all? I know, Faith, you've kind of divulged a bit about your daughters, but Craig, why is it so important that as content creators, we show up and really show out and create this content? Why is it so important?
Well, Black Heroes Matter. There's a T-shirt on our site that says that Black Heroes Matter. And not just content in terms of the heroes that you create, because let's face it, we all look for something to identify with. Everyone looks to see themselves in something. I hear a lot of white people who say, it doesn't matter, we don't really care about that. It's about good story. But I notice every time there's a character that's for example, in the Hunger Games, Rue, they made Rue into a black young lady, and everybody started freaking out. Well, it wasn't black people who were freaking out, it was white people. And if it doesn't matter, then why were you freaking out? It obviously holds a great deal of importance in a person's mind. So it's not just about creating the characters that's important, but we want to focus on the people who are behind the creation of the characters, who are contributing in the industry. Because, there are basketball players, football players, rappers, so on and so on. There are all these images of accepted roles for black people in business, in certain businesses. But there aren't very many slots outside of some of these roles that you think of a black person occupying. So what we want to do is highlight those black people who are occupying the spots that you wouldn't ordinarily think that the black person would be doing, and really give them some shine. Because whatever image you project in front of the people long enough, that's what they gravitate towards. And there are all sorts of black people doing all sorts of things. I mean, the movie Hidden Figures. Who knew? Who knew? Obviously, someone knew, because someone investigated it and turned it into a movie. But I can't tell you how many black, even historians, were watching the movie, and I heard them in interviews saying, I never would have known, I never knew. So representation is usually important. Creating content, creating characters, black characters who are doing a variety of things, very important.
Right.
I can't overstress it.
All right. So, yes, tell us a bit about your experience in the comic book industry, because I know you have a long history, right, of being in the comic book industry.
I worked at Milestone Media up until they closed. I got there towards the tail end of their workings. So I mean, I was there towards the end of their workings, and I've been in comics ever since, in and out, working from a distance. I'm doing a lot of freelance work. I have a 9-to-5 job that I work, but I'm always in comics and moving in and out of that world. So it's something that I enjoy. And when I'm up late at night, I'm looking for something that's inspiring, because I'm working on a project of my own, a graphic novel of my own called Dreamcraft. If you look me up on Facebook, Craig Rippon, R-I-P as in Peter, P as in Peter, O-N as in Nancy, you'll see me. And you can look up the things that I'm working on. But when I'm up working, I'm looking for interviews online of people who are in the business who are doing something similar to what I'm doing. And I noticed that once you get past the usual suspects, it gets very bleak. You keep running into the same names with the same stories over and over again. So I wanted to put together something that highlighted the people that you don't always hear about and bring them out into the front. So we got all the same people, but we got a few people that you don't see very often. So I'm very proud of that. And right now, what we need this money to do is we need the extra Kickstarter money to reach those places that we need to get on a plane to get to: California, New Mexico, Chicago, Detroit, North and South Carolina, all these places that may be a little too far for us to drive in our car. Up until this point, we've paid for everything out of pocket, but now we're looking to reach out to people to see if they'll be willing to help us make the last in the leg of this journey with some airfare, and we'll get this thing done. I think I have a tendency to answer too much of the question.
That's okay. And Faith, for you?
For me, my background in comic books, basically, looking at my father and seeing the work that he created. Ever since I was a child, I've grown up in a home where my father was all about creating content and working. I believe he did ghost work, Dad, correct me if I'm wrong, for Archie's Comics. So I grew up seeing a lot of that, which was really cool. I'll never forget one of the trips that he took me on, me and my siblings on. Actually, we were living back in New York City in the Bronx, and we got on a train one day, and my dad said, hey, we're going to go out, and we go downtown, and it's this huge comic book store. I don't remember the street that it was on, and we had the opportunity to walk through, the comic store, and he gave us an opportunity to pick out any comic book that we wanted. And so that was one of my first experiences where I got to pick out my first comic book, and I was so excited. And I remember skimming through, looking for characters, looking for somebody that I thought was cool. And the closest thing that I could find that related to me was a comic book. I don't know for those of you who remember if this is even still out, but it was a comic book called Vampirella. And I remember I gravitated toward that comic book because it was a woman and it was a superhero. And it was like, wow, this is something that's interesting. But, lo and behold, she wasn't Black. I couldn't necessarily identify with her with anything other than the fact that she was a vampire. So that was my first comic book. And ever since then, I developed a love for comics, or a love for comics in the sense that anytime, for example, I love comic films. Anything that's Marvel, anything that's DC that comes out, I'm going to go see that in the movie theaters. I'm going to get excited about it. I might as well be promoting and marketing the movie for them. I just don't get paid for it, but it's extremely thrilling to me to go and just really get into it and see these characters on the screen and see these heroes and cheer for them and cheer them on, I love characters that are larger than life, so to speak. In some sense, I'm rooting for the superheroes as opposed to if it was a war between the villains and the human beings, like in X-Men, I think Days Past or whatever it was. I'm rooting for the superheroes, or even if it's the villains, anybody going against humans. It might not make much sense. But the point is that comic books is huge for me. Comics, anything, sci-fi, I love that sort of stuff. And so I've grown up with that, and I hope to pass that on to my daughters because it gives us an opportunity. For me, it's always given me an opportunity to escape, to escape. Life sometimes can be tough, and the things that we're seeing, especially in this day and age, you don't want to hear about all the craziness every single moment of the day. You want something to sort of take your mind off of the sorrows of this world. So you sort of can escape into a comic book or into some sort of science fictional world and just get lost. And that's what I love about comics, and that's sort of where I come from. So it's a big part of my family. It's a big part of us and who we are. And so that's why when my father told me about this, he came up with this idea for this project, I was like, let's go. I'm so excited. excited about this. We get to do this. And not only do we get to do this, but we get to do this and highlight the creators, the content creators who look like us, who we can relate to, who we can identify with. And so the stories that they're telling as a result, we can identify with. So I am excited. I am more than pumped, and I can't wait. We need this money. So I'm really hoping and praying and believing we're getting this money to do this.
Wow. Wow, that's wonderful. So it's really a labor of love, as well as I can totally see the enthusiasm whenever I see your post on Facebook or Instagram. I'm like, oh my gosh, go girl, go. Because I can really tell, and I think the passion for just the craft of it all really comes through, and as well as your father, whenever you all speak about the project, about the content creators. So you're able to support as well as, gain something back from the fact that you are able to push them out there and help them leverage and empower others with that content, as well as get something back and seeing that content. And like you said, losing yourself within it. So that's awesome. Yeah. So tell me, last question here, or almost the last question, I should say. Favorite comic book hero?
That fluctuates. Right now, my favorite comic book hero would probably be Black Panther, and that's probably because I'm really excited about the fact that Ta-Nehisi Coates has been writing the book for I guess almost a year now, and they're also working on the Black Panther movie that's going to come out next year. So I'm really excited about the Black Panther and that whole world. So I guess prior to that, it would have to have been Spider-Man, but they kind of messed with Spider-Man a little too much. I like the Miles Morales Spider-Man. He seems to capture the flavor of what Peter Parker used to have, which is the young, inexperienced character way back, because I'm an old comic book guy from the Steve Ditko days. But it fluctuates. I fluctuate between those characters. Right now, Black Panther would have to be the one.
So for me, I'd have to say it'd be Logan from X-Men. Right now, it does fluctuate as my father says, but I've always had this. When you ask the question, I'll say the first character that comes to mind, because he's just so, ever present in my mind, and especially since the last film came out, which I'm guilty of not having seen yet. But he has so much depth to him, and he's such a complex character, and he's also so raw and so real. And you get an opportunity to, whenever I watch him on screen, you get that chance to experience everything that he's going through. And I think Hugh Jackman, terrible names, but who plays his character, just adds so much to him, to his character. I love, reading about the backstory, learning a lot about, I should say, his life and what he went through as a child and how that followed him. So that's really cool for me to watch. Another character that I really enjoy, come to think of it, who has, a lot of backstory, a lot of depth, is Batman. So that's another one of mine. So those are my two answers for now.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so that pretty much wraps up the interview. So you guys tell us where we can find you, where we can find the Kickstarter campaign, and any last thoughts that you'd like to throw us as well.
Last thoughts? Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say something, because you came up with a great idea, and I'm going to put it on I'm going to make it a part of the Kickstarter tomorrow. I'll develop a tag for it and put it into the Kickstarter as a reward incentive. Anybody who donates can donate $1,000 that wants to get a spotlight on their business or a spotlight on themselves. I will personally work up a piece of art for them, modeling a character, turning them into a superhero or something, and modeling them after the superhero that they want to be, or create one that they want to be, and that they can use in an ad to advertise whatever business idea, whatever business concept they have. So that is something that we can work on together. Anybody who will donate $1,000 or $1,000 or more will get that, along with some other add-on incentives that go along with that, such as having their names listed in the credits and some other items that I will think of. But I will make sure that goes up tomorrow. So that's all I have to say. Anybody who wants to pledge, go to Kickstarter, look up Black Ink People of Color in Comics, and hit that button.
And that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to thank everyone. If there's anybody who's listening who is already a backer, I'd like to thank each and every person who has backed us so far. If you are listening to this past podcast and you are inspired to donate, again, please go to the Kickstarter page, click the search icon, go to Black Ink, People of Color in Comics, and back us. We need all of your support. If we were to get overfunded, that would be fantastic, because that means that some things that we didn't count into this budget, you'd be able to pay for certain, such as checking luggage and things of that sort. So again, thanks everybody for listening, and we appreciate your support.
Thank you. Thanks, Jessica.
Greg and Faith, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Actor Ernie Hudson has appeared on dozens of films and television shows. You know him best as playing Winston in the Ghostbusters series franchise. And currently, you can find him in 3 TV shows, one on network television, cable television, and live streaming. You can currently find him on APB. It's in its 11th week, airing Monday, April 17th, and the final episode of Season 1 is set for Monday, April 24th. Also, Ernie stars in the high-profile Netflix series Grace and Frankie as Lily Tomlin's love interest, and on Graves on Epix, where he plays Nick Nolte's Fix-It Man. Check out this one-on-one interview with Caron.
Hey guys, it's Caron with the Black Girl Nerds podcast, and we've had some very special times together, but our guest today really needs no introduction. And in his own words, when it comes to the craft of acting, there are some who spend their lives studying it and those who spend their lives doing it. So I say, when you want it done, who you gonna call? I am calling the esteemed artist of stage and screen. It is an honor to have Mr. Ernie Hudson with us. Welcome.
Well, thank you. It's great to be with you.
Now, Mr. Hudson, you are a very busy man. You are currently in 3 series.
Yeah. It's a good time right now, and I'm having fun in a different way than I have in the past, and just very, very thankful.
How is it different? How is the fun different for you this time?
Well, I think up until now, I have 4 sons, and 20 years difference between them, and so it seems I've always been into diapers or college tuitions. Mortgages, and finally I'm at a point in life where I don't have those kind of concerns. All the kids are grown up, and because you always need money, but I don't have to feel the need to work just in order to work. And so trying to find work now, because I'm certainly not thinking of any kind of retiring, but finding the work that's fun to do and the stories that I want to be a part of, that's a little bit different, because there are times when you gotta pay the mortgage.
Absolutely. It's a different kind of freedom, though, isn't it? I have grown children too, so I'd certainly understand.
Yeah, it is. Also, I think that you reach a point where you realize that you're never going to get the money that you thought you might or that you want, and so maybe it's time to be content with what you have.
Well, Ernie, you are currently starring in one of the shows that I really am enjoying. It's called APB, and it airs Monday nights on Fox. Can you tell us a little bit about your character?
Yeah, I read the script, and I was so excited about the script, more so than the character. I love the idea of policing, being able to have access to some of this modern technology. We're still dealing with policing as a separate entity from the community, and more force, more jails, more all that stuff sounds maybe good to some people, but it doesn't work. It's not very effective. And so we see the problems that are coming out of it, which is devastating to certain communities. So when I read the script, and it shows about a billionaire who kind of comes in and he brings all these high-tech toys that exist now, but our police departments and, in fact, the public really hasn't had access to this technology, which is too bad. It seems like it's only been available for the wealthy or these big corporations. So the idea of being able to have some way of connecting the community with the police in a real way, that was very exciting. And then, the character, I play a guy who's a career police officer who's been there for a long time, who's had to answer to someone else, is now made the captain of the department. And so he gets to call a lot of the shots, and so it's a fun character to play. I get his humanity, and that doesn't always come through in a lot of the African American characters that they write.
That's very true. It really is an interesting take on a solution or different solutions to law enforcement. One of the things I love about the show is that in every episode, you learn something from both sides, how technology can help bridge that gap and how we can learn a little bit more about each other and how we behave and listen to one another that could create some of those solutions.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of very timely because so many things were happening in our country. These past elections, and people feeling they don't want to continue with what was, and they want to change, but not sure what that change is, and how technology affected those elections. And, what is that? I mean, these hackers, these people, they tell us, but who's on top of that? I mean, it's just, there's a lot going on. So, of course, it's a show that's meant to be entertaining, but it still, on a certain level, addressed some of that, and I was excited about that.
I had to get that little dig in about who you're going to call, because, Mr. Hudson, you have been a part of my life for so many years, and you have given us so much. So I want to say thank you to you for your contribution, because your body of work is something that we rarely see.
Well, thank you. It's, I think when you're working, you don't think about a body of work, but you just love the work. And I've been very blessed too. There have been periods when, some of the roles haven't been as fulfilling as others, but I've always been blessed to be able to do what I love to do and not have to worry about making a living doing something else. So acting has been really a blessing for me, and I'm very, very thankful.
Is it true that you started as a writer?
I did start as a writer, and but my marriage ended, and I became a single dad. And writing is one of those crafts that you got to sell it, and it's just hard to control. Whereas acting for me was I go in, and if I get the job, I get paid, and it's immediate because by the time they call me in, they're ready to go. So if I do this job, I can pay my rent. Whereas writing, we take meetings and we, might be 2-3 years before anything comes out of it. I wish I had kept writing on a regular basis. And so as I'm older now, it's harder to get back to. But acting really became what I do. I think it took me a long time to accept that. I think I put writing on a higher level than acting in my own mind, but I'm an actor. That's what I do.
Through and through. And I mentioned that you star in 3 shows right now. We have APB on Fox. You're also playing on Grace and Frankie with Lily Tomlin.
Yeah, that's it's funny. Yeah, it's 3 different shows and it's 3 different characters, and I'm very thankful to be able to sort of play all 3. I love working on Grace and Frankie. Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Martin Sheen, Sam Waterston. These are people I've watched my entire career, and I have so much respect for what they do. Especially Lily Tomlin, she's so down to earth and so giving. And what I loved about Marta Kaufman, who created Friends, and she created this show, and she cast me in a show called Call Me Crazy, where Jennifer Hudson played my daughter, and that's when we first worked together. But she brought this character to me that is just a guy. I like, as an African-American man, so much of what I'm asked to do, it's playing something, playing angry, playing, but it's the real humanity doesn't get a chance to come through. because the story is being told by somebody else, and you're just there to play that note.
Right.
But in Grace and Frankie, is just a guy who's, has lived a good life, and he likes this lady because she is kind of uniquely who she is. And 30 years ago, he might have chosen a mate for other reasons, but he just likes her. And I think his humanity comes through. And I think that's really important, because that is the thing that we ultimately share. And that's the thing you want to bring to in all your characters, but I especially like the Grace and Frankie doing that. And the show Graves with Nick Nolte and Celia Ward is a guy who's, that's on Epics, and it's a political insider. The first season, they included the character, but I think the character is going to be more fleshed out in the season coming up. And but I like the idea of a guy who's, one of those Washington insiders and who knows how to compromise and get things done. And of course, APB, which is really where my heart is. I think here's a guy who's a part of a community that's been underserved by the police, and yet he's a policeman. And so, but he still lives in that neighborhood, and it's important that these changes, get a chance to work for him. And so I think he sees himself a bit of a father figure to some of the young people coming in, but he recognizes that his time is limited, and we need to make way for the new.
Well, I can tell you this from my heart to yours. As long as you are on, I am going to be watching. These are 3 fantastic shows. I'm really enjoying APB. I'm enjoying Grace and Frankie and Graves. And I want to thank you for being here today. Any final words for our Black Girl Nerds audience?
Well, I just, I think it's very important that we remember that all of this, everything that's going on, it's ours. We need to include it. In the APB, the captain, the role I play, keeps talking about this is, my neighborhood, my district. This is a part, this is ours, and we need to claim it, and we need to realize that we have a shot at whatever we, of winning, of achieving what we want to. And I really think it's important that we remember to return home. So many of us left our communities, and there's still people back there struggling, and we need to support those people. I don't necessarily mean move back to someplace, but definitely return home to our cousins and our aunts and our uncles and show that support, because, we're all in this together, and we all need each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ernie Hudson, thank you so much.
Thank you. Great talking to you.
Own a piece of history and learn more about these real-life hidden figures in the free booklet included inside limited quantities of DVDs and Blu-rays. Available at select stores nationwide, Hidden Figures, now available on digital HD, Blu-ray, and DVD. The Black Girl Nerds podcast is produced by Jamie Broadnax. Various episodes are edited by Jamie Broadnax, M.R. Daniel, and John Bauer. The opening theme song to our show is written and performed by Samus. Various instrumentals are performed by Samus, Sky Blue, and Shubzilla. You can find episodes of the Black Girl Nerds podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spreaker, and Spotify.
That was a HeadGum podcast.